But what was so right to do on our show here, Sean, is to talk about the losers.
Oh, we love talking about the losers
here. The people
here.
that disappointed us. The people that let us down. Okay, when we talk about our predictions and how we think things are going to go, when you talk about how you think things are going to go on the broadcast desk, we demand excellence. We demand that our picks come through for our sound reasoning, impeccable analysis, and our ability to manifest what is going to happen later on in the tournament.
Yes, and if you don't deliver on what we say ahead of time that you should deliver on, you will feel the wrath of us, right, Rod? I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I put my faith into two teams last week we last spoke. Okay, and both of these teams not only lost,
I'm sweating,
in incredible ways. They kind of downright embarrassing compared to where they should have gone. We're talking about how far down the bracket will they go? Will they be able to give Fnatic a run in the championship game in the finals? We're not even into the playoff stage. We are out in groups, okay? Liquid
both teams
and NRG, I'm here for you, okay? I am here for both of your heads.
Chill. Honestly, I think, dude, who do you think played worse? I feel like NRG, I feel like NRG's hope versus expectation, like, oh my God, like the reality of the situation versus the expectation, they were further off. Even though I had them qualifying in the lower bracket of their group, I still think the way they lost to Billy and the confidence that they showed was so unacceptable compared to the result that ended up being on the page. Whereas Liquid, at least they lost to Navi, who's like a kind of like in their region, you know, a lot of grudge tier matchups go both ways. I could understand that. The game was super close, if I remember correctly. Both games went into... No, okay. First game was 13-11. Second game went to OT. That first game was tilting for me to watch, though, that Fracture game. And then the Loud game in the lower bracket, it just felt like Liquid rolled over. But Safe wasn't really feeling all that well, so I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know which one's a bigger disappointment, actually.
This is good. I love this discussion. Who let us down the most, okay? Who shit the bed the hardest here of these two? Who is just a pathetic performance? There's bad all around. It's hard to really choose. But I feel like, honestly, your analysis here of this, as always, spot on. NRG. Look, all due respect to Billy. They were the second seed coming in. Everyone should think the Chinese teams are right up there with everyone else. There really is no... I mean, I think EDG showed they were by far like the number one team coming out of China. Yes. But Billy were never going to be pushovers. However, in the context of this tournament, NRG were, yes, that team that we picked. But who are we going to choose between EG and NRG? We both picked NRG to be more reliable when it comes down to it. The better chance of beating Fnatic in the final. We all know about NRG's slow starts of tournaments where they lose the first set and then come back and win like the rest of the tournament. That wasn't even remotely close in the second series. It feels like they got beaten even worse than the first time that they played. And that is completely unacceptable for them to get, for I think, a rather easy bracket or group. I think comparatively, they had one of the easier groups on their pathway to the bracket. There is just no excuse here for what happened. And then, of course, on top of it, a guarantee.
Oh, yeah, the guarantee from artists.
The guarantee from artists, the memes from artists, the post-game interview on the first day about what they're going to do to Billy
There's
in that
no
next
way.
series. Already looking forward to the bracket stage. You add all of that up. Perfect.
It's
perfect.
It's immaculate. No, I'm about to play this 30-second clip.
Losing to Zeta, we ain't losing to Billy
We ain't losing to Billy again. Trust me right now. We're going to be in playoffs. I guarantee you, I promise that.
Billy, I want to ask you,
Oh.
the NRG core, they're known for having those slow starts and then always...
I'm from New York City, Sean. And famously in New York City, there's a very famous hockey player called Mark Messier. He won a bunch of championships playing with Wayne Gretzky on the Oilers, and then he came to New York to, find like a new pathway for him to run the team. And New York hadn't won a championship in 50 years. And in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the New Jersey Devils, which is a big rivalry here in New York, New Jersey, we were down 3-2 going into Game 6. He guaranteed we would win Game 6 and Game 7.
You definitely didn't win.
We won Game 6 and Game 7, and then he led us to win the Stanley Cup and our only Stanley Cup in the last 70 years.
Damn.
He guaranteed Game 6.
That's kind of crazy.
You are not motherfucking Mark Messier. You are in the group stage playing as one of the worst rated duelists in the entire tournament right now, okay? You are not the captain and leader of your team. You are making insane statements on social media. You are memeing about how you are going to win, okay? You are so fucking far off from Mark Messier. Okay, you aren't even in the same goddamn planet stratosphere as Mark Messier, okay? You don't do that. You, out of all people, should not be doing that.
Okay, he wasn't that bad. But the chamber performance on Bind was pretty bad. The chamber performance on Bind was bad. And I talked about this on stream when I got back home from the hotel. Just like watched the VOD again, and I was just like, I couldn't even believe it. It was like every round on the defensive half, it was like, I don't know if it was his call or just how NRG plays the chamber. It was like every round he had to do the most overextended peak to a TP out. Because of course, if you're going to play chamber like that, the other team is going to boom bot the aggro lines. They're going to dog them. They're going to bird them. They're going to cypher cam them, which is what Billy had. They had those 3 pieces of tools. And not once did he get a fight. Like, not once. It was the least value. I was so beside myself. Like, I just, oh, wow. Yeah, I'm looking at stats. It's actually like worse than I thought. He was 2-9. He was 2-9 on the defensive half. 0-2 in first bloods. And that's what it felt like when I watched the game. I was like, I don't know if that's a game plan thing or if that's an artist thing, though, because I actually think overall throughout the event, artists played pretty well. It's just...
You are crazy. And the stats don't back it up. He is like one of the lowest rated duelists of the entire tournament.
Yeah, I definitely think...
You cannot be the guy talking all this goddamn shit.
No.
You need... If you want to talk your shit, you have to back it up.
Look, I'm gonna be real. I feel like they actually probably should have lost against Zeta on Bind. I feel like Zeta had a huge lead going into like certain parts of that game.
Yeah, they were.
They were really running away with it, and NRG had to claw back into that game in order to win it. But he played really well in that Bind game on Chamber. He had 27 kills. Like,
he did.
He had his moments, and then the Haven game right after against Zeta, he tore them up, if I remember correctly. Let me see. Yeah, so the Haven game, that was the one where they did the Harbor Viper, and he was just having a field day in that series. Okay, yeah, he destroyed Zeta. Like, I think without him having that kind of performance, they might lose to Zeta in that series, which is, maybe, I can't say that, actually, because it would have just probably gone 3 maps, and who knows what would have happened, but, dude... It was really bad watching NRG, especially in the Billy series, like both of them actually. They lost on 4 different maps too. It's not like they were repeated maps. Like they lost on Split, Lotus, Bind, and what was the other one? Ascent. Jesus.
Which was probably the worst of the 4.
Yeah.
And honestly, look, we've talked a lot about how artists did not perform. FNS this is also on you. You are the leader of this team. You are the captain of this team. You are supposed to be, and Chet here too, not just FNS. If we're going to talk about like where the blame lies in this performance, Chet as the head coach and as how kind of outspoken that he is about things in the community, and you know how he runs the team, and you know, and such. And FNS, who has such long experience in esports and Counter-Strike and Valorant that we've spoken about, you know, just last week, and why that is allowing him to, you know, bring teams really far. This is inexcusable. It is definitely on them too for not having the team ready to play and not having them in the calling in game enough to be able to put a real showing up, especially when they're already down. So they've lost 3 maps versus Billy. They basically rolled over on Ascent, and they basically said, "All right, we can't do it. We're gonna lose," and they lost. And that's what I find to be the most pathetic. At least go out fighting, trying to win a single map, and not lose 4-0. But to just play that pathetic a performance, it just shows me that there's no. That is on FNS to get his players motivated and back into that series.
I don't know. When I watched this series and throughout watching groups, I don't know. It just felt like a lot of these other teams had another gear, right? That like when I would just watch these pop off moments from like EDG, Paper Rex, Billy, Fnatic, like. Even going down into Group D, like watching like Les pop off throughout that series against Navi, watching some of the plays Sagetsu got, I just didn't see that many pop off plays from the NRG players mechanically. I don't know if that's how the team is playing as a whole, whether that's like skill ceiling. I have no idea. I just know like eye test wise, I knew from that first series that my prediction of NRG entering this tournament was off. Like it felt like Tokyo vibes all over again. And like Tokyo, I felt like they never really had a great look, if you know what I mean. They just kind of made a deep run. I think they got 4th place, but they ended up losing to PRX. And they probably should have even beat PRX actually. But that Pearl game was super unlucky how Sam ended up losing the 1v1 to CGRS. Like, I don't know. That's just very unlucky because I think Sam played an insane entire tournament. But when I watch them, I don't know. I just don't see like the star player potential that I see on some of these other teams. Like, dude, that Lotus game against Billy was the most damning thing I've ever seen. When they went 21-5 in First Bloods, won both pistols, won the first bonus, and were up 5-0 against a heavy underdog. And they couldn't even close out the game on the gun rounds. I was like, what is happening? And when that happened, I was like, this series is over. They go into split, they win the opening pistol, and they immediately get ecoed in the worst way possible. It was like everyone just got picked off one by one, no trades in sight. And then they just rolled over and died on split. I was like, what the fuck?
So then do you not put that on the onus on Chet as the coach and FNS as the leader? I mean, I jailed for many, many years. Is that not your responsibility to make sure that does not happen?
It's really hard to say. There's been scenarios where I've been on teams where they're like super fractured before the tournament even happens. And like the smallest thing going wrong could just literally make it so that way everyone's playing kind of individually and like looking for their own type thing. I don't know if that's what happened here. I don't think it even matters because I think there's no way that this iteration of NRG is here again next year. So it doesn't even really matter what I think or speculate could have happened. I just don't think it's all on the coach in IGL because there's been situations that were completely out of my control.
Yeah, well, that is true. Hey, so let's move on. Let's move into that though. So you think this roster's dead? So let's speculate in terms. So we have a new power ranking system and the biggest frauds in the world. NRG, stamp it. They are flatly, easily #1 world's biggest Valorant frauds in the world. Who's got to be out? I mean, the obvious answer here is Artis is gone now. Previously, there was a report that NRG was interested in Aspis after I released information about Aspis not being happy within Loud, which, spoiler, didn't seem to really matter so much. Wes is carrying the hell out of that team, but we'll talk about that in a little while. NRG, from my sources from the team side, said that they were not considering Aspis and they were happy with Artis. I cannot imagine, in all seriousness, that situation has stayed the same. I really feel like if you are NRG, it is best to part ways with Artis and look for another duelist. Is this kind of how you're feeling too?
I think that would probably be best for NRG, and that's not saying that Artis is a bad player. I want to preface everything by saying that I think that what ended up happening with this NRG team is like Artis couldn't play Raze at a high level. He can't play Neon at a high level. So what happens is when NRG was running all these weird comps, like Victor would be on Raze, Victor would be on Neon, but half of the time he's on like completely different roles. And while some people are like, oh, look at his flexibility, but it's like, dude, you're just switching everything up and your play styles drastically change. Your spacings and timings have to completely flip from map to map, all because your star duelist that you imported can't play these other duelist roles. And then you have Victor playing them. Like, what if you just had someone like Osbus who could just do it all? Osbus can play Jet. He can play Riz. He can play Neon. It's just obviously like it looked like shit when Loud played it, but he can play Neon. I've watched him do it. So I think something like that would greatly benefit a team like NRG. It's also a star player, like an op star player. I think that would do wonders for this team because they didn't have that kind of fear when it comes to the op in the server. And having that in Valorant is so important. It makes every corner you play against feel like there's an op there, right? So every time Kong's in a server, he's basically demanding that you use like Sky util, Sova util, Breach util, everywhere, Fade util. You have to boom bot off angles because you're terrified of this guy taking lines. I don't feel like NRG has that same fear. They used to when they had Ye in the roster. Now, I don't think that that's Artis's fault. I think what happened was they fucked around with the roles a lot at the start of this year.
It did.
And it didn't work out. And so they lost that fear that a lot of these other top oppers have. And they just seemed average. And when another team perceives you as average, that's like half of the battle for them. Like when you're a favorite like NRG, but yet you're perceived as average, that's rough. Like that's rough. You get no respect.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I definitely feel like Aspis would really be the best possible fit. He is the deepest agent pool. He is he's not really having a great champs thus far. I feel like his teammates are definitely carrying the load. But he's one of the best performing players of the year. He's probably going to be the #1 free agent in terms of a duelist opper that can also switch into other stuff next year. If you're NRG, yeah, you better make that report real. I feel like you turn that report that you said is wrong and you go 180 and you make sure that report is accurate. If you had a 2 and a 3, we have talked about it, on a previous video that Ye and his ex-teammates from Optic that are now on NRG had some tension, and that was partly for why he is no longer there. Do you feel like this can be rectified? Like him going to C9, that cannot be rectified, okay? There is no Ye Jack reunion story happening anytime soon. But do you feel like Ye and the NRG guys would be able to try things out? Or do you feel like that is probably not likely?
They could, but I feel like they would run into a lot of the same problems as with Artis. I think Ye is a more powerful op player. He plays a little bit more selfishly, which is what you kind of want out of an opera. You want them to play selfishly. You want them to be confident. But they would run into a lot of the same like Raze Neon problems, most likely, because I don't think Ye's Raze and Neon are like S tier.
That is by far also the biggest issue with a lot of the Opera players. I feel like Tens similarly has almost the same exact problem, is that switching to Raze historically or something like Neon is not something that he has been super comfortable with. And it has been, more of an issue than when Jet and Chamber were meta for like almost the entire history of the game.
Yeah.
And now we really do need your Jet to sometimes go Raze, because Raze is so powerful right now on a lot of the maps that you're going to need your Raze to op and to entry.
Dude, the Chinese teams showed me that like Raze can legit op in this game. The way like Kong and YZ were using satchels to like peek into people and then dismiss away. Like they would escape after a shot with this like instant satchel. I was like, wow, it's actually possible. Because this whole time, like, I thought this could be done, but no one in NA was comfortable enough to do something like that. Because the people that played Raze typically didn't op, but man, it looks so sick when they do it. Like, and they still have the impact of having that agent. Now, I don't know why EDG does it on Split, because they're still running a Jet. I guess Hong Kong's Raze is that much better than Smoggy's Raze, but yeah, like it looks really sick when Kong does it. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, he was owning on Split, so look, no argument here from me about you wanting to play the Raze. Okay, you take your offensive glass cannon op Split Raze and just make ranked awful for the next year. Okay, because no one else. If your name is not Kang, do not do that in my game. Okay, you do not get to buy op with no armor on Split on offense when you are Raze.
Rod, your elo will never be equivalent to Kong's. So you don't have to worry about that.
Okay, yeah, I know. Fine. But the players are not Kang, my teammates, okay? I'm not the one playing Raze, okay? You're probably that guy, Mr. Yoru.
Okay. All right, let's go to the next team.
Yeah, so I really think, just to finish it off, Aspis is definitely like the best choice. All the other options, like a Yay or a Tens, are good, but it does feel like that is maybe the clear number one for him. Maybe there will be more sleeper picks, something like a Koala Noob, even though I still kind of feel like I
think that would work, actually.
Right?
He's pretty good. Yeah, Koala Noob's really good. I like him a lot as a player. Like, he is super impactful when I watch him play.
I feel like from besides the three that we've mentioned, he seems to be like the best possible pickup free agent.
Yeah.
From North America tier 2.
I would say so. There's a lot of really good tier 2 players. It just depends on like what NRG wants to do as far as roles go and how many changes they're going to make.
Okay, so what I was going to say. Is there anything else that you want to change? Do you believe might be there that this loss and performance was so bad that Chet's job may be on the line?
No shot.
No shot.
No shot.
And FNS2, no shot. Those you're saying FNS and Chet, no matter what, are in an untouchable sphere.
Yes, absolutely. I think they are like untouchables in this team, and they should be. I'm not saying that because of like some kind of name value type thing. I actually just think that their value is like through the roof. And if I were building a team, I would definitely want those two on my team. Like, just from a role perspective with FNS, from a history perspective of what he's been able to do across a lot of lineups and just maneuvering people around, I don't put this loss on them. I think along with that, Crashies is like an insane initiator. And then
aren't Victor and Crashies are like a package team. I know they joined. They've been playing together for so long, and it feels like that NRG couldn't remove one without the other if they wanted to. If Victor goes, and Crashies goes, and if Crashies goes, and Victor goes. So the only other option is Sam. I thought he was
Sam's
okay.
Insane. Sam's insane.
And he has such a tight relationship also with FNS for so long.
Yeah, they literally duo together all the time. Their relationship is great. And I think Sam proved to me he's like the best North American controller. And I said this a lot actually over the last two tournaments. Like, he's one of the only players that have played all of the controllers. Like, he can flex across all of them, and he does it at such a high level. Like you look at his last 90 days, he's played Harbor, Omen, Astra, Brim, and he's actually played Viper too. If you like go historically, it's just in VCT Americas, I think he did play Harbor, but he just didn't recently. Historically, he's like a duelist. So like he's still kind of new-ish to the role. And I still think he's like so good. It's just, again, it's like, what does NRG want to do with the roster? Who wants to play still? Maybe some of these players don't want to play still. Maybe they want to go into streaming. I don't know. Like FNS could be an insane streamer if he wanted to be. I don't think he should be because I think he could still play.
There is no way. Okay, if Angel told me during the press conference that there is no way he is retiring, we'll get to you, Angel, in a little bit. All right, then I don't think there's any chance FNS will either. I feel like Artist is probably the most likely one out, and we'll see what happens. But okay, we could definitely move on to worldwide ranking fraud for the Valorant champions. Easily Team Liquid in the number 2 spot.
Team Liquid definitely takes the number 2 spot.
You guys weren't NRG, which was a complete disaster, but you guys are pretty close. You did pretty much everything wrong. You had the highest expectations out of everyone. I was here last week saying how I thought that everybody else's critique of Team Liquid being a fraud was too harsh, and that I felt like they actually should be feeling pretty good going into champs, and that they should probably get out of their group. I picked them to get out of the group.
Yes.
What do I get?
You get nothing. You absolutely get nothing. Like 100% you get nothing. Rod,
nothing in return.
Watch this moment right here with me right now. Go ahead and click that. Go ahead and click that. This is one of the saddest things I think I've ever seen, dude. Like,
I got you.
I was mauling on, like, at the analyst that's watching this because I picked Liquid to advance through this group. And when I see Redgar bust out the Sova op against Double Controller on the most important financial round of the entire game, and then him get 0 shots, this lockdown comes into play. He thinks he has shock lineups for it to combine with the breach aftershock. He misses the shock darts. He gets detained. Nats gets detained. They lose all of their money. I could not believe my eyes, dude. I could not believe my eyes. This was the most important round of the entire game in my eyes. Like, they had so much money, such an advantage. And to have this shit play out this way on this round was so backbreaking. Like, I could not fucking believe it, Rod. I was losing my mind watching this shit go down.
It is a pretty incredible series of events. Like, every possible thing was either stupid initially. Like, why doesn't Yampi have the op? I mean,
bro,
it's a similar concept as
I know.
To Raze, he is the op player. Why does Redgar have it? How does he miss the shock darts that are absolutely necessary? Like, because if he misses them, this is what happens. They lose everything, all the ults, all the economy. That really does sum up their entire series. Yampi, Redgar, and Soulcast were three of the worst performing players of the entire tournament.
Dude.
All 3 of them are in the bottom 10 or 15 for all players.
Dude, it's honestly crazy. It's crazy to me. I don't know. I was beside myself watching them play. Like, they had so many good ideas, but their execution of those ideas was so terrible. It was so terrible. I gave them so much credit coming into this because I thought they had a lot of really good ideas in Tokyo, and I thought they caught some unlucky beats. And man, they just looked so out of it. When they started losing, it was over. And against Loud, that series was horrific to watch. Like, they were never, ever, ever going to beat Loud in that series, Rod.
Was it even remotely close? It wasn't remotely close.
Not even close. No. My second piece of information, I also just messaged you. Look at this dart, Rod. Look at this dart. There's no way that that's where that dart was supposed to land. Why do I say that? Because there's 3 people arcade, and not one of them gets tagged by it. All 3 Liquid players are literally caught completely off guard. Like, Bro, they threw Fracture. They literally threw this map. I was so upset watching this shit. And I feel like I'm kind of taking away from Navi, and I don't mean to be, because I actually think Navi played pretty fucking well. But man, like, it's like you said, like when you pick a team to like make a run, like I predict this team to be the best team in this group of death. I had very high hopes for them. So when I'm seeing this and it's just totally not aligning at all with what my thought process was entering, I'm just like molding on the inside. I'm like, why? Why is it like this? Because Nats played so well.
Yeah, he did. Safe played, I think, pretty reasonably good too. This really is on. I mean, if we're going to give all of this criticism to one artist, and this is enhanced by all the things that he was saying in the social media and the post-game interviews, not helping himself, and on FNS, and even some on Chet, the coach here, then absolutely one, Redgar, who's all the clips that you're showing me are Redgar. Not only was he one statistically of the worst IGLs performance-wise, individual performance-wise, of anyone in the tournament, he also let his team just get demolished. There's no bad calling. There's not an ability to, get the team. You cannot be losing in such insane, score lines to go out. Just like NRG losing with only 5 rounds to get 2-3 rounds, whatever it was, is unacceptable as an IGL, as a leader, to have all of these things happening together. Redgar deserves a lot of blame, and I really think that Liquid need to have a long think if they want Yampi as their star player going forward. He moved over from Counter-Strike because of the whole ban thing, started playing Valorant, and he has always been just like Asuna is 100 Thieves' player, Yampi has always been the guy consistently through all the rosters that is going to be like their main.
I think Yampi's really good.
Hey.
I think Yampi's like really good. Oh, hey, babe. Oh, thanks, love.
I made an art scene of you.
Oh, wow, this looks great.
And look, I made a polar bear for
Oh my God, she made me a polar bear.
Your
Okay,
kid is hardcore.
I'll be done soon. I love you.
She is awesome.
Yeah, she's great.
I
Of course.
They're like top 5. Like they're the only bears that routinely attack and eat humans. Do you know that?
I did not know that.
Like brown bears and black bears.
You know what doesn't eat humans?
The most
Horses.
scared.
Horses do not eat humans. Let's get back on topic, because horse team choked so hard.
So hard. So look, if we're gonna give all this stuff to, I definitely think Redguard deserves a ton of the blame, and I really do think Yampi deserves a hard look here. He is still contracted until 2024, but I have never been super impressed with his performance throughout his time on Team Liquid, and he really did not play well at all here at Champions. And I feel like at this point, you have to ask yourselves, is he going to be our star player? Is he really going to be the guy that can win us a championship? Because right now, I feel like the answer is no. I do not think you can say that Yampi is our guy that's going to lead us to a championship.
I don't know. I think Yampi's really good, actually. See, I actually think Yampi's really passes the eye test when I normally watch him. I think Nats obviously is an incredible talent.
No, the best player on Team Liquid is Nats.
Yeah. And what confuses me so much about Redgar as someone that IGL'd in the past, I think he the way he organizes the team is really smart. I think what Liquid does in a lot of these games is pretty fucking cool. But I don't understand. It must be like some EMEA fucking IGL. Something in the fucking water over there, because the IGLs in EMEA, why do they always make the outlandish plays? Let your star players do it for you. Why are you doing this? Just be supportive. I don't give FNS any shit, because he knows. He knows to not make all the risks in the world. Why do these IGLs make all of the risks? Why don't they just let their star player do it? I don't get it. I actually don't get it. That's why I was molding so hard. I mean, it was literally Angel versus Redgar. It was the perfect storm for me to mold, actually. I can't anymore. I'm done.
So just to wrap things up, Liquid definitely fraud number 2. By the way, Navi did not even advance, and Liquid got destroyed by them. So look, Liquid and NRG, you guys figure it out. There will be roster changes, absolutely, on both of these teams.
I think Liquid's the harder one to make roster.
They really both need, kind of addressing both the same roles. I feel like definitely the duelist, probably more so IGL for Liquid.
I think Safe is insane. I don't know.
It's the Safe I thought played pretty well.
I don't know why they took Safe off of duelist on certain maps and instead put Yampi on the duelist in those maps. I think that's where Liquid went a little bit wrong here, because I think Safe is just such a star player. It's weird that like they have him playing Jet on Haven, and then they let Yampi play Jet on Split, and then I think on Fracture they let Yampi play Neon, right?
Yep.
And then on Haven, so wait. Where was I seeing this shit? I guess not. I guess those are the only 2 series they played. Never mind. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So Yampi played Jet and Neon, which I feel like they just needed to like change how their comps were kind of run in some of these games. Yeah. I would want Safe to have more impact. Unlucky.
Not really. This was a not unlucky situation. Okay, things are not all good.
Not all good.
I want to just reference for FNS. We are no longer using that meme until you show us something different.
Okay, not FNS.
All meme is all bad. It is off the table.
I would not allow the FNS slander.
Off the table.